Hello, everyone. There it says live in living color. Yes, and stereo, no less, and digital high D, HD. There we go. Hello, everyone. How you doing? Brad, good to see you. Gravity Storm, Deborah, how are you? Good to see you as well. Who else is here? Lots of folks, lots of folks. Claudette, how are you doing? I used to see, very, very cool. Shannon, how you doing? Spirit Wind Dancer, love that name. Jamma Baker, Hypnotherapy Pixie, that's a cool one. How you all doing? How was your weekend? Eventful? Peter, how you doing? Flower, peace. Grace, good to see you. We all have grace, favor. That's what your name means. So Deborah, Caroline, great song by the Jefferson Starship. Warrior Princess had a great turnout Friday night. Wasn't a lot of people, but we certainly raised a lot of money. By the way, the next time, Lois, that we do this, we'll encourage people not to use the super chat. It's ridiculous what YouTube takes out of that. I'm trying to figure out, how do you do that? I mean, I come out of the payment industry. It's like, how are you doing that again? Yeah. So, Jamie, good to see you. Brian, hello. Marion, good to see you. Anti-popular girl, good to see you as well. Mrs. B, love the name. Jerry, peace, good to see you as well. So anyway, interesting topic. As I said, we're going to make this a little bit more interactive. I actually wrote to YouTube and told them how they could do this. This could be a really cool format. Anyway, I digress, which I'm prone to do. So, little FYI, the new moon will be Wednesday. And for me, right where I live in Denver, in fact, let me show you all this. What's that sign? Everybody, what's going? So anyway, here we go. Timeanddate.com. Really good website. I've used this for years. Helps you to find inclinations, declinations of moon, sun, Anyway, so we did the time change here in the United States. More insanity. And as you can see right here on November 7th, starting at 6:23 a.m. and going to 5:20 p.m., this is the moonrise and the moon set. So we'll be in a new moon. And I'm going to be doing the favor invocation. Just got very strong impression that it needs to be done. So for what it is worth, there you go. Cool website, by the way. Gives you everything you really need to know is when the sun and the moon, when they be rising and when they not be rising. So there we go. And be kind of cool. See a lot of people do that. I think the new moon, we've got to realize that there be power in that thing up there. Real, artificial, or otherwise. I contend, and I did a video on this, about the moon was an ark, that it was put here by other intelligent beings, and it served as an ark for our kind. I think it was an ark that carried our DNA. And there is some really interesting new science coming out. New science that is rewriting what we have perceived to be the normalcy of our solar system. we were talking about this yesterday, that we now know there was, in fact, 70,000 years ago, a star that came through here. And it wreaked havoc on our whole part of our space. And it has been the theory and hypothesis of many astrophysicists and astronomers that say that we most likely are from the Sagittarius dwarf ecliptical galaxy. But we were never part of the Milky Way to begin with. And we now know that down the road, million years or so, they know another one's coming, another star. The question I have, we have been proven wrong in all of our science. In my lifetime, I have seen what my grandmother saw. My grandmother was raised, she was born in the late 1880s, lived nearly 100 years, missed it by 6 months. And she saw the Industrial Revolution. We're going to do a show tomorrow on the Gilded Age. Quite fascinating subject. It's going to be quite poignant. And she saw it all the way to us landing on the moon. That's what she saw in her lifetime. Now, that's a lot of change. That's a lot of science being discovered, written. And I now put it in perspective of my own lifetime, that what I am seeing, I was a part of this. This thing called the internet. I was in Austin, Texas, 1997, 1998, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, at the peak of the internet boom. I was the pioneers with the groups in Silicon Valley, and the Silicon Hills is what they called Austin, Texas. And we were defining what today is taken as normalcy, m-commerce. I got into the payment industry, was involved in several projects. One, pay at the table. If you're using pay at the table, I was with the group that started that before Wi-Fi was ever there. And I see it now. In 20 years, I've seen it completely redefine, evolutionize our species, the way we do commerce. My specialty is understanding trends in payment. A lot of psychology goes behind payment. And it's the treasure trove of all data recovery. You've got Facebook, you've got Google, but they pale in comparison what payment does in identifying an individual. That's why they're moving to a completely digital currency. It won't be what we see today with Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is a progenitor of what's coming. Absolutely no doubt about it. And so as I see this continuing, well, it impacts everything about us. And it's quite remarkable. I remember the early days, there was a company in Austin that was the early pioneers of video conferencing. Brad, I'll answer that question. I think that there was a tremendous spiritual presence. We would never have admitted to that, but that was a wild time. There was creativity pouring into us. Excuse me. Anything that we could imagine, we were doing. I can tell you, and the stories are absolutely true. How many companies were funded on a back of a paper napkin? How many companies got new platforms going to a dinner and having to pay the restaurant for the napkin, the white linen, because we marked up on it in designing a platform? Raise your hand. Yeah. We had, with my company, US Creative, we actually had ourselves set up right next to Apple. There was a convention back in the day called Siebold. It's where all the graphic artists went to. And it's where Apple made their name. And Steve Jobs came by and loved our exhibit. We had a pretty good there. But yeah, exploring this. So, and look at us today. So it's very poignant. So I hope I answered your question. Well, let me finish it out. So spiritual influence, yes, yes, and yes. Something was driving the creativity. I contend we saw the same thing in music, the same thing in film, the same thing in early records, television. Today, all we have is just a regurgitation. There's nothing new. There's nothing innovative. And you look on the creative front, Hollywood is regurgitating, sequels beyond their original foreseeable lifespan. And so, yeah, something was there. Something was guiding us. And I think when you look at the presentation I put together today, and isn't it odd that if you look at where the technology centers were, the whole thing with Silicon Valley, that whole evolution, what took place there. And then you saw the opposite coast in Massachusetts, Boston, the whole Boston tech corridor. And then we saw it spring up in Austin, Texas. And we had this perfect triangle. In fact, we so often flew into San Jose that United actually dubbed a flight, it was called the Silicon Express. And back in the day, if you were fortunate enough to get on one of those flights, because they were typically booked, we were always flying back and forth. But most often you'd find angel investors there, venture capitalists. Made a lot of deals on those flights, folks. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just reading some of the comments. Hi, is that Gus? Is it Gushara? Did I say that right? Gushara? Beautiful name. Hey, Tim, how you doing? John Baker, peace, buddy. Cheesesteak 22. How you doing? Casey, Pyramid 7. Yo. Eyes to see. Love it. Yeah. And by the way, I'll just say this to Material Classified. You were right. I've had favor on my life. And guess what, folks? I have a 9th grade education. Been a CEO. In fact, I got an email today. A recruiting company. I guess they're looking for, anyway, for CEOs. Go figure. So there you go. I love it. So anyway, Master Classified, you be right. So a lot of strange things going on. And I just think that what we were doing, we were just opening the portals. I remember when NT, No Technology, came out. And, when you built your software platforms back, and still today, every browser has to have its own specifications. And, as you're running your software in the background on the server, there's a lot of different things that are happening. And when the idea of node technology came out, and as we began to build networks based on the node technology, then came in what we called a thin client. And today, what we did not know, we were actually building our own handcuffs. I mean, seriously, this stuff didn't exist back then, folks. Listen, back in right after 9/11, I was working with a group of entrepreneurs, and we were designing a system, an integrated system that would be launched nationwide that would eliminate the blue canary syndrome. And the blue canary syndrome is what first responders would always recognize when they have a hazmat situation is the dead cop. And we were determined, the guy that came up with the idea was actually out of the Coast Guard. He was actually had it spot on. And as we were developing the system, the integration was key. And folks, I mean, I look at it back then, we were using, sticks and stones. I mean, it was just amazing because we were coming with these ideas, gee, we could move this data here, we get this data, we'll take this database, and then what we'll do is integrate it in. And when you start working with governments, oh yeah, let me tell you, that's fun. But eventually that system is now a part of the 911 system deployed here in the United States. So there you go. And well, thank you, Joshua. That's very kind of you. So it got me to thinking. I mean, we live today where, I gotta tell you what, it's freaking crazy out there. It really is. I mean, yikes. Boy, I mean, it's so tense that, thank goodness we can't read each other's thoughts. We'd all be killing each other, I swear. I mean, maybe that's the answer to my question. Why have we not been able to develop our mental telepathy skills? We've had plenty of time to do it. I mean, it's not like, it's like, oh my God, I got to get out there and, invent the wheel, or, hey, Henry, come over here, see what happens when we put this thing in the ground. In fact, if you think about it, as Hungarian societies, as they first came out, I don't know about you, but gardening is a great form of therapy for me. It's a great form of meditation. And you would have thought our ancestors, they had the cranium capacity, would have come up with a better plan for telepathy. I'm not getting into all the other things. But just think today if we could actually read each other's minds. Not good. Not good at all. The aliens would run screaming out of the solar system announcing, holy shit, they can read each other's mind. Get out of here now. Because they're going to blow themselves up. I mean, we can't even figure it out when we're writing comments, we misinterpret it. It's the crudest thing, is when you send a text. What did you mean by that? You used the word and you capitalized it. What did you mean by that? And the next thing you got freaking World War III going on. Couples breaking up, cats, dogs living together. I mean, it's insanity. And us empaths. Kushara, you're right. I mean, that was part of my, let me tell you, I'd be just completely straight with you. As I look now, If I had only known what I knew now, right? There's a song like that. Great group, by the way, Faces. Anyway, I digress again. So kind of lost my train of thought on that. Should never do that. But with telepathy, I mean, think about this. We should be so far advanced in being able to transmit thought, because thought would be the purest form of communication. There would be no ambiguity in what we typed or what we spoke. How many of you been in a conversation where you've said exactly that? Excuse me, what do you mean by that? I've been in many a meeting, many a boardroom where that comes out. You know, when you've got freaking 12 attorneys, right? And you're putting the deal together and you get the deal sheet. Every freaking word that has any ambiguity to it has to be defined by more words. Anyway. So here we are. We're a species that we have the hardest time communicating. It's hard for us to communicate our emotions, our feelings. You know, it's quite simply amazing. And that's why I wrote, all right, so let's stop and talk about this. Everyone is here. Hello, everyone. 211, 210, whatever. Welcome, everyone, because I want all of your participation in this. This is how we grow. So at this point in your life, what have you discovered? I found it really interesting, the first couple of comments. One wrote, it's all deception. Think about this, folks. This is, how many of you remember the movie The Freshman with Matthew Broderick and Marlon Brando? Great, great movie. So Marlon Brando was playing the satire of his actual character, the Godfather. And he's telling Clark Kellogg, this is serious stuff. This is serious stuff. And because the reason why I got this was yesterday, you know, I had to block 2 people. I don't like doing that. But, you know, I got a responsibility to, as driving this bus, that if there's a passenger that gets too rowdy, I mean, you got to let them off. And, you know, I wish them all the best, but they're not ready. I wrote to one, I said, it's time for you to go back a couple of grades. Got to get some things straight, you know. When you figure it out, let me know. Let you back in. Love to have you. So let's just look at something here. You know, I put these PowerPoints together because they teach. This is really a good way to communicate. So, how old are you right now? Why don't we say how many days old are you? Someone said, well, it's actually how many seconds. Come on. Quit being a show off. All of us can handle days. All right, I'm 23,000 days plus. I'm 11,000 days plus. You know, it's. And so my question for the group is this. So you're all mature adults. You're all doing your thing in life. You're on your path. And so here you start out. And the question I have for you today is, what have you discovered so far in your path of life? In fact, I wrote this down. Is the path of life, give me a second here. Is the path of life really a straight line? We think so linear. But if you've ever played 3D chess, you begin to know that actually we exist in 3 dimensions. If we exist in 3 dimensions, why wouldn't our life paths also be in 3 dimensions? Just saying. I mean, you can't have an artificial construct that would be more superior than to the natural construct. Because the artificial is exactly that. It will always be artificial. Yeah. So I continue. Yeah, I got to throw this thing in there. So what? All right, it's there. So is what you have thus far discovered matched your expectations? Think about it. Are you where you thought you would be when you started out on this path? How many dreams have come true? How many expectations have failed to come through? Has your life delivered you to the destination you were seeking when you started? Do you believe that what you know today was because of your perspective of yesterday? Seriously? How did you come to get to where you are at? Can you write right now on a pad of paper exactly every event in your life that got you to where you are right now? And then can you match a subsequent column to the expectations that you set out with? Most people can't. And they want to know why they're lost. They want to know why they're always seeking another God, another guru, another person that has, this tremendous insight and revelation. All they're doing, they're hoarders. They hoard all this information, all this so-called knowledge, packing it in, baby, packing it in, and don't have a freaking clue as to how to either use it or if it's even relevant to them. The saying is so true, my friends. I've been there. Each of you will be as well. You will, at the end of your life, and those who have had the NDEs know this as well, is that there is something that's even before the light. You have to walk up to the precipice, and you have to look within. Because when you look over the precipice, in that void, what you see is going to be your greatest fear. And guess what, Cupcake? It's you. You see, I've challenged the gods to manifest. None do. Because there's already one God in the room. Me. Me. There's only one God in the room where you are at. Now, you may share your habitat with other gods, but still, when you lay your head down, you're not laying your head down with your mate. You're laying your head down with you. No one else. Most others go about seeking guides. And there's nothing wrong in having teachers, nothing wrong in having guides, but the guides should not be your focal point. The thing that most of us lack, and life has a way of teaching it, is discretion, discernment. Imagine how many heartbreaks, emotional pain you could have saved yourself, your family, your children, your husband, your wife, your lover, if you had only realized that you are your guide. Taking advice is cool, but you have to be able to know how to discern it. Discretion. I can remember, I've been my own, when I first got put into the the child welfare protective system, and this was back in the late 60s, nothing like it is today. And I can remember that first foster home. Things happened there, and you learn discernment. We all naturally have it. We just so often fail to listen to it or heed to it. There is something naturally that we have that guides us. It's there. Tragically, many situations where violence is concerned, and my friends in law enforcement will tell you, I had a good friend that was a detective, and she would say that, she said, almost to a person, they all had a sense. They knew something was wrong. They had a feeling that something wasn't quite right, but they didn't heed it. I think this is so true for us spiritually as well. We are spiritual beings. Now, how you reconcile that, each of us have our own approach, our own way of doing it. But I do believe each of us possess this. It gets back to this whole thing of what we're actually equipped with coming into this realm. Why do some get rich? Why do some stay poor? Why do some get cancer and never do anything? They have a healthy lifestyle, and yet the others who do everything counter to both common, logical, and medical sense, yet live on. Why is it that it seems like those who do the most good suffer the most bad? Now, these are questions that philosophers have pondered for millennia. So here's the question. Will what you believe today be what you believe tomorrow? Someone had written earlier in the chat room comments, and it was very true. It's faith and belief. It's faith. But the problem with faith is this: it's a powerful, powerful element that's, again, unique to us in this plane of existence. It comes with the package. Do you ever get those bags when you go to conventions? The goodie bags. And, trust me, my companies, we paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, because you want to have your stuff in the goodie bag. So as people come in and register for, the convention, and, most people won't look inside until they get back to their hotel room. What's in the goodie bag? There are some good goods. There's some really bad goods. There's some that are just, I think that's so much where it is with us. I don't think many of us have opened the bag all the way up yet. And we're still discovering, oh man, you mean I had this the whole time? Oh man, or it's, oh man, I'm glad I finally found this. I can, it's all your perspective. But if you're like myself, we've all changed. Some of us radically, in a good way. We're light years from where we were. 2018 will go down as a year of incredible jumps. I was talking about empaths. We've got to get our act together. If I had just known, as I said before, that I was an empath, man, nuts. So that's the question. What do you believe today? Do you believe that this is what you're going to believe for tomorrow? I think that's where the whole thing of the self-deception comes in. I was thinking about this morning in my mirror exercise, that how can we say that we stand on a belief system 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years and not change? That would imply death. And that's why I contend there's no heaven, there's no hell. There would be so many people in the description of what came out of the Dark Ages. Many people would find that a playground. They'd find hell to be Disneyland. And the boredom would kill most of other people if you went to heaven. How many times have I asked people, so what exactly are you going to do in heaven? Oh, I'm going to worship God. And what are you going to do after that? Oh, that's all I'm going to do is worship God. Well, you're dead then. I mean, you're not progressing. You're not growing. I don't think the Creator ever intended this to stop, ever. That's why we're eternal. We're immortal. And we've got to get over this self-deception. We've got to begin to get beyond that. We're all changing. The problem today is that you have religions falling. They can't keep up with the technology. They can't keep up with the knowledge. And that has presented a real dilemma for them. I know. I had this conversation with people earlier. I ask them all the time, come on, folks. Is God a Christian? Yes or no? They won't answer the question. They don't want to know. And you could put the same question to every other religion that's out there. That's the problem with it. It's a bigoted system. It's the epitome of elitism. Well, my religion, thank you very much. We happen to have the only answer. And if you don't buy our answer, well, we got a place for people like you. Go to hell. I'm far out. That's not a problem. I mean, the day will come when our species will shake off these unseen, unproven gods. They got a show on CBS saying God friended me, And, I was telling a young person this, and I said, well, let me tell you what this show really is about. You're worshiping AI. That kid's eyes went, what? But it's true. I mean, this is how we look at things. We are a species that believe in the unseen more than what we believe in what we see. It's just so true. I mean, this is what we have been. That's us. As long as we're all together and, yeah. I know that sucks, doesn't it? But that is truly the mentality. Give me 1 second as I get out of here. So there we go. Serious stuff. I mean, I'm going to put this plan. I've been holding off on that because, I just did not think that we're ready for it. But, I'm going to start floating it out there amongst people to put this thing together, to get some great minds together. I think we really do need this Sapien Summit. I mean, when you've got belief systems that are crumbling because of the knowledge, and then you have complete cognitive dissonance that is manifested immediately. I mean, and I don't do this unless they want to know, but when people ask me, well, what do you believe about Jesus? And I said, what do you want to know? It's the most meaningless thing when you look at this, to debate whether he did or did not exist. If he did exist, there would have been overwhelming evidence. There is none. The Bible is not evidence. The Bible is nothing more than a literary work. That's all it is. Anyway, you can get into it. And the person would write back that says, but wait a minute, what about all the signs? What about all the things that we're seeing? And, the prophecies. And I wrote back, I said, why do you want to be a Hebrew? Are you Jewish? Because then you've got a legitimate reason. I can dig that. That would be part of your culture. But as I wrote to one person this morning, I said, are you serious? So you've got this ancient Hebraic God that's the creator of all the world. I said, so where was this dude when the Sumerian tablets were being written? What about Göbekli Tepe? Where's this God if it was there, it would have been back then too. Where was this God, this Hebraic God in La Croix, France, in the caves? Where was this Hebraic God in Mesoamerica that now we're seeing goes back nearly 5,000 years? We got to start realizing things are no longer the way they were. And it's part of the problem. It's why we have so much disconnection, I think. People don't know where to connect into. Because again, where are you at right now? What have you discovered? Well, you're like the rest of us. A lot of it ain't true. It's dogma. It's ideology. It's theology. Leaves us in a real conundrum, doesn't it? So cheesesteak 222. Jesus visits the Himalayan mountains. Monks still. I say it's a consciousness. I say that, as Jeff and I were talking yesterday, it very well could be a star child. It could be a star being. There's something much more to this existence. Now, we're all getting our own downloads. I just seen this last week as we talked about. I see it as that we're immersed in a dark universe. It's not evil. It's not good. It just is. It has laws. It has principles. As the light universe does. Listen, if it's a dark universe, then by the very same laws and principles, there has to be a light universe that has dark planets, dark suns, a whole different spatial reality. I've seen in visions most of my life that I was a light being. Knew it as a kid, knew it as when I was in my 20s, knew it when I was in my 30s, 40s, 50s. Now, is everyone a light being? No. No, I think that there's as many dark beings in bodies here as there are light beings. In one way, it's the only thing that... Yes, I have cheesesteak. Got that. Actually, I got that on PDF, that book. And Gashara, you're right. Thoth does talk about that same thing. I mean, how many of us have actually gone down to the halls of Amenti? I believe that exists. See, I think that when we pass over, I've never had any fear about it. Well, in the sense that when you almost die, you realize, well, that didn't hurt. Maybe it didn't hurt getting there. It hurt like hell getting, trust me, spinal meningitis sucks, folks. It sucks. And when you got Lyme disease on top of it, oh, man. I didn't see any angels, but I can tell you, I was heading on out, Jack. About the same way when I got stung by those 30, how many was it? 31, 32 plus bees that you start going into anaphylactic shock and you're going, I'm dying. You know it. You got that sense. It's like, I'm dying. And I don't know. I mean, many of you have experienced it the same way. But it's true. And I just wonder if what we've learned in 1 year, imagine what 2019 is going to be. And then, I think we're coming into 2020. Numbers mean everything to me. I mean, numerology does make sense. In this plane of existence, I had one person write, well, how can you believe in astrology? Do you really think that the movement of celestial planets and stars really are going to dictate a person's future? And I wrote back and I said, well, may not necessarily dictate their future, but you have to admit there is something to it. I mean, just the way it is. Our ancestors have always written in this. It's different. So, I mean, if there was an event that was coming up, I mean, a big one, like Kenny Rogers in the first edition saying, here it comes. And let's just say, it turns on a dime. And let's say that there is a great culling of our species, that by the time we got to 2023, something had come and happened to the planet that completely altered all of our belief systems. What would that world look like? You see, that's why I contend in my video, God showed up, what happens next? I'll tell you what happens next. If ever a being was to manifest on planet Earth and announced itself as God, mass insanity would ensue. There would be no escape, because it would hit us so psychically as a species, we would literally turn on one another. And unless this deity had a means in which to strike the fear of God into all of us by some kind of power, we're at that point now in our evolution, we'd laugh at it. There would be a group like me who would say, all right, let's take a look at this technology. This is no God. This is just a manifestation of something that has advanced technology. Let's break it down. That's why the gods don't manifest. They know it. We know it. In fact, if you take the level of technology that we possess today and were to do a time jump backwards 5,000 years ago, every one of us would be a god. We would be perceived as God. Let me tell you, if I had just this alone, you see this? Yeah. If I had a simple laser alone, 500 years ago, I would be considered a god. Now, put that in context of what a god would have to be to us today, where our minds are at. That God would have to be far more different than what the God of the Bible was, the God of the Sumerian tablets were, any of these other gods. We've created the universe. We've created Star Wars. We've all seen and gone where no man has ever gone before. We've allowed our minds to actually create a universe that no present God of our consciousness could match. What, you're going to split a mountain? So what? You most likely got some harmonic device. Ain't no big deal. Are you going to make it fire out of sky? No big deal. You're just manipulating the elements. Well, I can bring people back to life. Well, so can we. Well, I can create life. Well, so can we. Tell us why you're so superior. You see where we are? This is what's happening to millions of young children. They're digging it. They're getting this whole idea. That's why, as I said yesterday in our Not Your Normal Sunday program, that AI is the God. You're seeing it right now. The generations coming up, the God of the Bible is fairy tale, always has been. But they're going to begin to compare it to the technology, and now you can see instinctively where they're going to be drawing their conclusions. There you go. I haven't even been watching. Hey, Joe Sapien, I got your email, buddy. I haven't got Tanzania and Stewart, but yeah. So where does that leave us? Well, we all want a savior. My wife and I were talking this morning, and I said, hon, everybody wants a savior. Everybody wants a Willy Wonka chocolate bar that got the golden ticket. Because I got the golden ticket, you know? I get to go pass all this. And we desperately want that. It's like, oh my God, we actually have to be accountable to ourselves? Yikes. I don't know. Well, it's been a fun hour. Folks, it's all cool. And, you know, tomorrow we're going to get into, it's going to be a fascinating hour. I'll already tell you what the title is going to be. We're going to be talking about the Gilded Age to the Gullible Age. And this is what's happened to us. And you're going to enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Something happened. And that's just the point. We are going through an age right now. It's tangible. I contend that we're probably going through multiple ages, all coalescing at the same time. And there was a I forget, it was a book. I'm trying to remember the title of it. But in essence, it was fiction. And the author was writing a story about how mankind went insane because of too much knowledge. That it began to show up in random events around the world, but it became worse and worse. And that the knowledge was basically being dumped into us 24/7. It looks a lot like today. And the fact that people just broke, they couldn't handle it. And maybe that's what we're seeing here. I don't know. Our species likes it to be where we don't like change. I mean, that's why, agrarian societies outside of war and oppression, okay, take those two things, was a pretty peaceful existence. Yeah. Living and working off the land. Yeah. And a lot of time to meditate, a lot of time to think. I think that's why more farmers, or particularly if you look in the past, they were much more spiritual people. Anyway, there's my 2 cents worth. Well, folks, thank you. Don P., the Cat Club. My cat's name is William, and I call him Willy Wonka because he walks all over the laptop. Don, that's cool. Yeah. Well, maybe we all can still get the ticket. I had a subscriber over the weekend who subscribed, and his handle was Willy Wonka. And I said, well, all right. Well, folks, so Brian, let's see, he's moving his music over to YouTube channel. Well, send me a link on that, Brian. We'll definitely get that. Wind Dancer, Spirit Wind Dancer, excuse me. Yeah, I don't, there's that debate, is like, well, if we continue to advance, that means you have to have more knowledge. And knowledge is neither good or bad. That's a whole thing. But yeah, I can see that there would be a place I'd like to go where I'd just like to plant my own garden. Yeah. To me, that would be slice of heaven. Having a creek running by, being able to just simply, to me, that I can create that in my mind immediately. My happy place when I do certain types of meditation, there's a beach cove that I've created, and I see it right now as I talk. And I can sit right there in that cove as it comes in, and I can see the water as the waves roll in. And there's 3 rocks out in the water that I can see. And so maybe that will be my happy place. Who knows? Anyway, all right, folks, I'll see you tonight with Dr. Claudia Albers. Always love hearing from Dr. Albers. It stimulates creativity, mind, so it's going to be fun. All right, folks, thank you for being here. You make my journey a lot happier, and we'll meet. Many of us will meet. Maybe all of us will meet. I'll buy the hot tea. Yes. All right, folks. Be good to yourselves. I'll see you tonight. All right. Bye-bye.